wreath-laying at the Cenotaph in London, in honour of almost 2,500 who gave their lives in UN peacekeeping missions around the world. It was part of the International Day of United Nations Peacekeepers, and the ceremony marked their contribution to bringing peace and stability to countries suffering turmoil. The conference itself focused on the key challenges for peacekeepers in the modern world.
We certainly face a crisis of confidence in peacekeeping. We've seen peacekeeping expand enormously over the past 7 years, a 600-fold increase in the number of peacekeepers in the world. But we've now reached a point where the scale of operations and the diversity of operations is causing a number of challenges in terms of performance, and we're reaching a point where people are losing confidence in the ability of peacekeeping to meet its goals.
He also feels today's peacekeepers are expected to achieve much more than before, but with fewer resources.
We're trying to do too much with too little. We've enormously expanded the number of operations in the world, and at a time when the participation of the most advanced nations, including European nations, has declined. So we're asking less powerful governments to do more difficult things, and unsurprisingly, we're not achieving as much as we should.
And there now seems to be a shift in the remit of peacekeeping.
We're basically moving away from a position where peacekeeping's main job has been to implement peace agreements. That was the dominant mode in the 1990s and the early part of this decade. I think we're moving to a mode where the main job of peacekeeping is to support the authority and the capacity of fragile states against internal opposition, against extremism, against lawlessness. And that's a much more difficult job. It requires a much more nuanced matching of force and politics, and it requires a willingness to stand up to spoilers and extremists in some cases.
Peacekeeping now faces real challenges if it's to be successful in the future.
We have growing demands, we have increasing difficulty, and at the same time, several of the most advanced nations have most of their military capability tied up in two conflicts, Iraq and Afghanistan. But at the same time, we have new challenges in Somalia, in the Congo, in Sudan, and elsewhere that we're going to have to meet. So we're going to have to look hard at how we're meeting what's coming ahead.
While the conference looked at the changing demands of peacekeeping in the world today, the wreath-laying in London was a time to reflect on the important work of peacekeepers throughout the world, and the contribution of those who died trying to help others achieve long-term peace and stability in countries affected by conflict.